Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something, well, something I think we all grapple with in different ways. How we move from feeling kind of held back by ourselves to really being in charge of our lives. We've got a collection of ideas here that explore understanding our emotions, finding a real sense of inner peace, building mental toughness, and ultimately, getting more enjoyment out of it every day.
Yeah, and think of this as maybe a shortcut, a way to navigate those internal hurdles and create a more satisfying life without getting lost in all the complicated self-help jargon out there.
Exactly. What I find really interesting about this is how it's framed. It's not presented as some huge, overnight transformation.
No, not at all. It's more like a natural step forward. It's about recognizing that often, yeah, we're the ones standing in our own way.
Right.
And that realization, that's actually the key to unlocking progress. It's about taking ownership, really, of what's going on inside.
Okay, so let's dive into this first big idea. The difference between controlling our emotions and, just shoving them down.
Suppressing them, yeah.
Yeah. The material we're looking at touches on a Buddhist viewpoint, which sees controlling the mind as a path to genuine happiness. And surprisingly, it's not about trying to stop thoughts.
No, it's more about letting them come and go. The practice of non-attachment, right? It emphasizes observing your thoughts and feelings as they appear and disappear without immediately reacting.
You're managing your response, not the feeling itself.
Precisely. Which is quite different from emotional suppression. That's described here as often an automatic reaction when we don't really have good ways to deal with what we're feeling.
Right. Suppression is like
Yeah.
trying to pretend you don't feel something, hoping it'll just vanish.
We've all done it.
Oh, yeah. But we know that usually just leads to those feelings building up pressure until, well, boom, they explode.
Whereas therapy, for example, aims to help us become aware of those emotions and then consciously choose how we want to react.
So the key difference is suppression is unconscious. You might not even fully realize you're doing it.
Often, yeah. Control, in this context, is deliberate. You acknowledge the emotion. Maybe it's anger, sadness, frustration. You feel it, but you make a conscious choice about your behavior.
Okay, so you're stuck in traffic, someone cuts you off.
Classic example.
Choosing not to lay on the horn isn't necessarily suppressing your annoyance if you're aware you're irritated, but you just decide, okay, calmer reaction.
Exactly. It's about taking charge of your actions. Because, as the material points out, our feelings, they come and go, fleeting.
But what we do, that has lasting consequences.
And we're always responsible for those actions. Always.
If we zoom out a bit, there's a helpful comparison here. Physical versus mental strength. Think about physical fitness. It's not just about how much you can lift, right? It's about your body functioning efficiently.
Absolutely.
And similarly, mental well-being isn't about being happy 24/7. It's more about our ability to navigate the ups and downs of life with, clarity and reason.
Without being tripped up by our own internal stuff.
Right. And the first step in building that mental resilience, according to this, starting to trust ourselves again.
Which leads right into this idea of finding inner peace and rebuilding that self-trust. I love how the material defines inner peace.
How does it put it?
As that deep down sense that everything is fundamentally okay and, it will be okay.
That's powerful. It's been central to spiritual traditions for ages, hasn't it?
For centuries. And now it's becoming more mainstream in psychology, too.
There's that quote from Albert Camus.
Oh, yeah. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer.
That really nails it, doesn't it? That core, knowing that no matter what's happening outside.
There's a place of calm and certainty inside you. The initial challenge, though, as the source points out, is actually connecting with that place.
And then retraining our automatic responses to that busy, what do they call it, the monkey mind.
Yeah, that constant stream of thoughts, worries, judgments.
So that gut feeling people talk about, that deeper intuition. The material suggests that's actually us tapping into this internal wisdom, this broader perspective.
That's the idea. And the image of a still lake is so good here.
How so?
Our thoughts or actions, they're like ripples on the surface. But practices like meditation, they help us find that natural stillness underneath.
By just stopping the interruptions.
Exactly. Inner peace isn't something we have to, build from scratch. It's what's already there when we quiet the noise.
Which naturally leads into setting goals that actually align with us.
The material makes a strong case for shifting focus. Instead of chasing that kind of fickle happiness, which is so often tied to external stuff.
Getting the promotion, buying the thing.
Right. Things outside of us. Instead, cultivate inner peace. Because inner peace, it argues, is a more stable foundation. It's a state where well, there's nothing to lose.
It really makes you think about how much we seek external approval to feel good.
Constantly looking outside for validation, feeling satisfied like we belong, feeling worthy. The source suggests that's a sign we haven't connected with that inner calm yet.
And it reframes happiness, too. It suggests true happiness is inner peace.
Yeah, and those external achievements, they might give you a temporary boost, but ultimately they just bring you back to your baseline state, which ideally is that peaceful core.
So why do we lose touch with this inner peace in the first place, if it's our baseline?
Well, the material points to how we adapt growing up, the environments we're in, the beliefs we pick up.
The coping mechanisms we develop, especially when we're kids and vulnerable.
Exactly. If we aren't guided to connect with that inner peace early on, we tend to instinctively trust that constant chatter in our heads.
The monkey mind again.
Yeah. And that becomes a real cycle, doesn't it?
How do you mean?
Our thoughts influence how we feel. Then those feelings make the thoughts seem even more real, more solid.
Even if they're totally unrealistic or just.
Right. The source reminds us our thoughts are more like suggestions passing through, not always the absolute truth, not facts.
So, okay, if inner peace is there, why is it so hard for most people to find it?
Good question. The most basic reason, according to this material, we're just not taught how. It's not really a skill that's commonly passed down.
Makes sense.
But beyond that, there's often a deeper reason, a fear. A fear of our own internal emotional landscape.
Which can be linked to past experiences, that inner child concept.
Exactly. This idea of parenting our inner child is really interesting. That part of us that might actually resist inner peace because it's associated with fear or negativity from the past.
Stephen Diamond's idea mentioned here about the inner child being a real psychological presence.
Yeah, a phenomenological reality linked to our unconscious, our early life stuff. It resonates.
And finding inner peace, the material emphasizes, often involves making a somewhat uncomfortable decision.
To stay with your discomfort and to choose differently. That's the quote. And Gail Brenner's insight is key here, too. Our internal conflict, our inner war, is fueled by resisting our current feelings and circumstances.
Pushing against what is.
Exactly. Peace, she suggests, comes from accepting what we cannot change.
Okay, that constant struggle. The source also highlights how our minds tend to invent worries, like as a survival thing.
Kind of, even though real happiness is found in being present.
So it suggests a practical step, making a list.
Yeah, I like this one. List your past intense worries, the things that kept you up at night. How many actually happened? Probably very few.
Okay.
Then list difficult situations you actually did overcome, things that felt huge then, but you don't dwell on them now.
Oh yeah, you got through them.
And finally, list moments of genuine peace. When did you feel truly calm, present, connected? What were you doing? Likely something simple, being present.
That seems like a powerful way to shift perspective, to see worry for what it is.
And hopefully detach from it a bit. The material describes worrying almost like an addictive habit.
A way to avoid the present.
Yeah, fueled by this false belief that makes us safer or more prepared. But really, worry just drains our energy on made-up scenarios.
And can it actually contribute to making bad things happen?
It can. By making us hypersensitive, maybe interpreting neutral things negatively. It's that monkey mind again, always looking for evidence to confirm its fears.
But the source brings us back. Inner peace is always there. It's accessible, a choice.
Always a choice to connect with our deepest wisdom. The challenge then becomes telling the difference.
Between what?
Between those gut feelings that are giving us useful information and the feelings that are just rooted in fear or ego chatter.
How do you tell?
Well, the material suggests our feelings aren't necessarily predictions. They often just reflect our current state of mind, like a nightmare.
The monsters feel real, but they aren't actually there. They just show what you're anxious about.
Exactly. And ultimately, the feeling of peace is presented as the reliable guide, the truth teller. Fear is seen as a more limited force, just trying to keep us safe in a sometimes misguided way.
Okay, this all sets the stage perfectly for becoming mentally strong.
Right. The source argues that mental strength is essential for actually reaching our potential. And crucially, it's not something fixed.
Not something you're just born with or without.
No, it's a continuous process, a practice, often developed, ironically, through facing challenges, and it offers some really practical strategies. First up, get a plan.
Get a plan. Seems simple.
It might seem counterintuitive for being present, but having a plan, according to this, actually allows us to be more present.
How does that work?
A lot of anxiety comes from uncertainty about the future, right? If you have a roadmap, even a basic one, for how to handle potential challenges of finances, career, whatever reduces that anxiety.
Frees up mental space to focus on now.
Exactly. It provides a sense of control.
Okay, what's next? This one I like. Humble yourself. The world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah, that's a freeing one. The source reminds us, look, most people are primarily focused on their own lives, their own concerns.
That feeling of being constantly watched and judged. It's mostly in our heads.
Largely, yes. Recognizing that can be incredibly liberating. Less self-consciousness, less anxiety about what others think.
Okay, good reminder. Then ask for help.
Absolutely. We live in a specialized world. Nobody knows everything. It's okay.
So know your strengths, focus there.
And don't be afraid to seek guidance or delegate where others know more. Give yourself permission not to be the expert on everything.
Which connects to knowing what you don't know,
Yeah.
and stopping that black and white thinking.
Those false dichotomies, yeah. The source says anxiety often stems from these either scenarios. If I don't get this job, my life is over.
Which rarely actually play out like that. They're logic leaps.
Exactly. Unlikely extreme conclusions. And related to that, stop trying to be psychic.
Psychic thinking, what's that?
Believing our feelings are premonitions. I feel anxious, so something bad must be about to happen.
Ah, okay. That weakens mental strength.
Yeah, because it makes you feel like a passenger, powerless. Instead, focus your energy on building the things you can control.
Which leads right to taking responsibility for the outcomes that really matter.
Right. Things like our productivity, our health, our relationships, our self-awareness. These are largely within our sphere of influence. Focus there. It's empowering.
Instead of obsessing over things we can't change.
Exactly. And a big part of mental strength is learning how to process the full range of emotions, not just chasing positivity.
So grief, anger, sadness, anxiety, fear, we need to deal with them.
Acknowledge them, understand them, let them pass through. Burying them just leads to them popping up later as triggers.
So it's about being responsive, not reactive.
That's a great way to put it. That defines mental strength.
Then there's learning from the past and letting it go.
Crucial. Reflect, yes. Extract the lessons, absolutely. But then don't keep replaying it. Holding on to past failures often means we haven't fully absorbed the learning.
Apply the lessons now to create what you want now.
Right, and talk things out.
Oh, this is a big one for me.
Me too. Verbalizing those jumbled thoughts and feelings, therapist, friend, even just talking to yourself out loud.
It clarifies things, right? Releases pressure.
Totally. Problems often feel way bigger inside our heads than when we actually articulate them.
The source also says, take your time.
Yeah, be patient. Real lasting change is usually gradual, tiny steps.
Not a massive overhaul overnight. Focus on small, consistent actions every day. Build momentum.
And reframe those triggers. Don't see them as just annoying setbacks.
What are they then?
Signals. They're pointing to areas where maybe there's some past wounding or where there's potential for growth that needs attention, opportunities for healing.
Okay, that's a useful perspective. And finally, honor your discomfort.
Don't just try to numb it or push it away immediately. Discomfort often signals we're capable of more, that we're bumping up against a limit that can be expanded.
So listen to it. Learn from it.
Yeah.
Adjust course.
Exactly. Life, the source suggests, is like this constant feedback loop reflecting our inner state back to us.
Okay, wow. So all of this culminates in learning how to truly enjoy our lives.
Yeah, and the irony pointed out here is that while many people believe life's purpose is enjoyment, they really struggle to be present and actually experience it.
Why is that?
Often unrealistic expectations or trying too hard, forcing it. You can't force happiness. It has to be allowed.
Right. When you're feeling down, someone's saying, just relax or just enjoy yourself.
The least helpful thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the source emphasizes, first, just step back. Get to neutral before you try to leap to happy.
And the core message seems to be, stop trying so hard to be happy.
Exactly. Happiness, this argues, is actually our natural baseline state. We return to it when we allow ourselves to feel and process other stuff without resistance.
Constantly striving for just one feeling sets you up for failure.
Right, and be present. That's huge.
Anxiety lives in the future, depression in the past.
True happiness exists only now. Focus on taking each day as it comes, making the most of the current situation. Obviously, still plan, but live now.
Okay. And it also talks about letting go of the need to, assert dominance in interactions.
Yeah, true connection comes from equality, not trying to impress or get a specific reaction. There's more happiness in not needing to constantly prove yourself.
See others as sources of learning instead.
Nice shift. And lean into the little joys.
The small stuff, the sunrise, the coffee, the good chat.
Yes. True happiness isn't just those massive highs. It's embracing the everyday satisfactions. We overthink it, assuming we need perfect conditions. Find joy where you are.
Nurturing positive relationships comes up again, too.
Huge factor. Research backs us up consistently. The quality of our connections massively impacts our well-being. Focus on building and fostering those good relationships.
And keep learning. Stay curious.
Always. Approach life with openness. Pain teaches us what to avoid. Joy shows us what aligns. Life experiences are teachers.
And see challenging times not just as bad stuff, but as opportunities.
For transformation, yeah. Happy people, or maybe fulfilled people, are adaptable. They understand life requires growth. Discomfort often comes from stagnation.
Focus on internal growth to avoid suffering through external changes.
Well put. And be aware of what you give your energy to.
Mindset matters. Hugely.
Thoughts gain life when we feed them energy. Choose them carefully because they influence feelings, beliefs, behavior, your whole life.
The source also recommends scheduling time to do nothing.
Yeah. That balance between active pursuit and passive allowance. Intentionally create downtime. Just be.
And also schedule time to play.
Yes. Reconnect with that childlike imagination. Do things just for fun, for creativity's sake. Make peace with that inner child.
This brings us then to the ultimate point, becoming a master of ourselves.
Right. And the source suggests that looking back, those mountains we climbed, those hard times, we'll see them as gifts, actually.
Hardships as pivot points for growth.
Exactly. Mastery is about radical self-acceptance, understanding that our response to events, not the events themselves, determines our outcome.
It's powerful to think that most of us go through life kind of unaware.
Unaware of how much we actually co-create the waves in our lives and unaware of our innate ability to navigate them.
Mastery is realizing we already have the traits needed to overcome challenges.
That's the core idea. And doing so, embracing that, is presented here as life's ultimate calling, almost.
Those past discomforts we talked about,
Yeah.
they were signals.
Our inner self saying, hey, you're capable of more.
And this whole process, this healing and growth, it has ripples.
A collective effect, yeah. Personal change leads to broader change. Your healing helps heal the world in a small way.
Looking back, it won't be the ease we value, but the journey, the transformation.
Absolutely. The biggest loss isn't failure, it's untapped potential. That mountain that seems impossible now, it'll become a distant memory.
But the person you become climbing it, that stays with you.
That's the real prize. That, the source concludes, is the purpose of those mountains.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly recap those key themes. Moving from feeling stuck to self-mastery involves really understanding and managing our emotions.
Cultivating that deep inner peace by trusting ourselves.
And developing mental strength through these practical strategies we talked about.
Yeah. And actively choosing to enjoy life day by day by shifting how we look at things and what we do.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Think about that mountain you might be facing right now, big or small.
What's one tiny conscious decision you can make today to just begin that climb?
And as you take that step, try to focus not just on getting over the obstacle,
but on the person you are becoming in the process.